Hey, welcome back to Blue Glow Electronics, everyone. And if you're new, welcome. This is a turntable I've been working on for the better part of a weekend now. And I've got a lot done to it, but just thought I'd walk you through what I have done. I've got quite a few things in the shop right now that I'm trying to get pushed out so I can focus on building the preamp and another little trick I've got working up in my sleeve. And so I haven't been taking the time on the last couple restorations to actually make videos, but I just thought I'd kind of do a recap on this one of what all we've got going on. This is an old Sansui 4-speed player Stereophonic, and I'll tell you, this comes out of a beautiful console system that Sansui made, and we believe it was only available in Japan because we've never found any information online here in the USA about it. Maybe when I get it back to the owner, he can send me a picture or two of the whole console with it working. But thus far, what all I've done to it, just in recap, one, I pulled the platter today and polished the edge. That was a bunch of work because it was pretty nasty. And I used this, you can see my hands here, they're still black from it, but this wind oil polishing cream is really good for that, as well as I use my buffering wheel over there. I ended up having a new idler wheel custom made. The guys at Voice of Music ended up making this for me. The one that was on here was rock hard, and I could not find any info anywhere about this table, the parts for it, and I can tell you that none of the parts on this seem to match up with any other tables. So I had to send him the original one. Took him about a month and a half, and he ended up making me a replacement for that. So we've got that on there all lubricated and ready to go. This little fast slow dial here was loose. I tightened it up, and I am epoxying. As you can see here, this thing, when I got it, had a little crack going around it right here, and I'm fixing that. And I happened to notice that the other side had been broken and glued at some point in the past. I don't know when, but it looks like it's just kind of a brittle knob known for failure there. So we've got it going. Nice little record spindle here in the middle. I polished up the tone arm itself here, and the cartridge on this is a Neat cartridge, Neat VS600, and I cleaned up the contacts here with some deoxit. Also, by the way, this there it goes. Okay, these little divider pinchers here, they were wide open and it wouldn't hold this tone arm at all. So I pulled this out and I used a heat gun to get that warm enough to push them back together. And as you can see now, everything snaps in there nice and neat. Pulled the whole bearing out of the middle here, and good gosh, was it gooped up. I can't even tell you how many nasty Q-tips I went through, about 20 of them. You can see the grease that came out of the inside of that thing that I was wiping off. It was just a 50-year-old nasty crud that was in that. It was barely spinning. I took and polished the little pulley wheel here. It had gum built up on it in several places, and I just used some 220 grit sandpaper to do that with. Let me flip it upside down and show you what else. Oh yeah, by the way, I waxed this whole deck up here. I use a type of, let's see if I can find out. I use a cleaning wax, so it's got a cleaner built into it and also a wax. And I did the top here. I did the little head arm shell. Anything metal here on it has been but cleaned and polished at this point. Let me flip it upside down. Okay, this is where some, oh yeah, by the way, this little bearing wheel screws off. I thought it was pretty neat. You can see down in here, it's got these kind of resin disc, and then you got your little ball, and we've got all that oiled up at this point. I kind of like how easy that is to service. A very well made turntable. The motor, took it all apart, cleaned out everything in there. It's got a ball bearing in the bottom here, cleaned that. The ball bearing is teeny, way smaller than a BB. Very hard to clean because it had gunk built up on it. And if you've ever tried to clean something that small, it's just not easy. I've got all of it cleaned out, both bearings on both sides cleaned, lubed, and oiled. And then I replaced a 0.05 microfarad run capacitor here on the switch. Ended up deoxiding up that switch a little bit. I greased, let's see here, get down here. You can see there's the wheel that changes the speed, moves the, I used some Teflon grease on all of that. But the real monster on this thing, let me see if I can find the originals. So the real devils in this whole deal were, you see them here in this bag kind of, it's the motor mounts. They're completely just disintegrated and falling all to pieces, as you can kind of see here. Old, dried, just rubber, but these things were about this thick at some point in time. And I tried sourcing something like these that fit the size of these shafts and that gave the depth needed and with the offset it needed, because the motor's not in the very middle of the mounts. It's offset on one side a little more than the other. And I never could find anything. I spent the better part of 2 weeks searching. So I ended up having to fabricate some stuff using rubber pieces and some grommets. And finally, I think I've got it all right. So let's turn this thing over and see how it sounds. All right, by the way, love the platter on this thing. Nice, thick, heavy platter, aluminum. By the way, I get these part cork, part rubber slip mats for $24 shipped from a guy in Belgium, and I absolutely love these things. Sometimes the cork alone draws enough dryness as you pull the humidity out of there that they like to curl up around the edges. The rubber in here keeps it flat, also helps with the static, works out quite well. So let's see here when I plug this thing in. Yay! Nice and quiet. And I made a little bit of a mistake a minute ago. I put my phone up here and I did not have the slip mat on it. I was using, by the way, it has the factory rubber Sansui slip mat, and I had it on there, and I made the mistake of dropping my turntable on here. I mean my phone on here, and I hit the 78 RPM, and it slung my phone across the floor onto the concrete and cracked one corner of my screen, which I'm not real happy about. But anyway, you can see 33 RPM. This over here, you've got a fast slow adjustment. Uses a little bit of a magnet there in the middle on one of the wheel below the actual pulley, and you can adjust this thing. Look at that, 33. Let me stop that. Well, okay. Thing's spot dead on at 33.333 where I've got it adjusted right there. Look at that, 33.33. It's crazy. As you change speeds, it slows down. I think that speed may be the 16 RPM. No, that's a stop. Let me get it on a speed here. All right. So that's 76 RPM. You can see it locking in there. It's pretty fast. That's the one that slung my phone off into the... Alright, what are we at here? This is 45 RPM. And, nope, let's back down on 33. I have a hard time turning this thing by hand. This is the 16 RPM. And if I adjust it down, it'll lock in there at 16. There it is. And let me find a 45. Okay, finally. It's just hard turning that thing with my fingers. It's easy to jump right past it because that whole thing's kind of spring-loaded from the bottom. But as you can see here, it's sitting on 45.3 dead on. I mean, this thing, once you turn it and adjust it, and it takes just a few seconds to get locked in, this thing is dead on. So I'm really happy with how this table as a whole has kind of turned out. I don't know if you can see the whole thing a little better right here. But a beautiful, nice arm on it, and beautiful table. I think it'll go well back into that console, and the owner will be very happy. The only thing I've got left is he bought a Denon cartridge here, and he's got a juicy blueberry, I think. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the TD-135 that he has. I've got to put a different cartridge on it. This one, I think we're going to leave this cartridge here alone on it, and should be good to go. All right, I'm going to adjust that back just a little bit here. There we go. Thanks for watching, everybody.